Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the governor releases draft legislation for Medicaid expansion. We'll get the latest in our weekly legislative update with the Arizona Capital-Times. We'll hear from Arizona Republic columnist Lori Roberts on the effort to recall Sheriff Joe Arpaio. And we'll have the latest on gas prices in Arizona and around the country. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Eight, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The governor yesterday held a press conference to unveil her draft legislation for the expansion of the state's Medicaid program. Here now with our weekly legislative update is Jim Small of the Arizona Capital-Times. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. Any surprises in the press conference?
I think that the one thing most people were looking for was to see which lawmakers would be with the governor at this press conference. And there were 6 Republican lawmakers, some from the Senate, some from the State House, who were standing beside her and standing behind her. And several of them spoke and said, you know, this is what we need to do as a state. This is the right thing for us to do. And in a lot of ways, that kind of sets them apart from a lot of their colleagues. Republicans seem to be divided into kind of 3 groups. You got a handful of them who are openly supportive, like these folks were. You've got several who are openly hostile to the idea and are diametrically opposed. And then you've got a group in the middle, which is, most people's estimation, is kind of the largest group in terms of what are they going to do. And they want to see more information from the governor's office, from Access, from the healthcare community, and I think from the other side, too, from the critics, and try to figure out what is the best path forward.
And we should mention former Senate President Steve Pearce, I believe, was up there. Bob Worsley was up there as well. Who is Heather Carter? Because it sounds like she's going to be a major player in all this.
Yeah, Heather Carter is, I think she's a second-term Republican from kind of the Cave Creek area, northeast Phoenix, northeast part of the valley. She is, primarily, kind of an educator. That's her background, is education and everything, but she's the chair of the Health Committee in the House. And this has kind of been a big issue for her. She was one of the early supporters of this program, of this idea, of this plan to expand access and to draw down this federal money. And she stepped up, and she's going to be the one who's kind of spearheading this legislation, certainly in the House at least. Her committee next week is going to hold an informational hearing on what the governor's office is proposing. It's not going to be an actual bill that's going to move forward at this point. At some point it will, but right now it's just going to be kind of the first legislative informational hearing on the actual proposal that the governor is making. So
we don't know as yet if this is going to be a standalone bill or part of the budget, do we?
No, we don't. What we do know is that this will be tied to the budget in some way. By hook or by crook, it's going to be tied to the budget because a lot of the assumptions made in the budget depend on the money that's tied up in this access program. So whether it is a bill that travels by itself or a bill that travels by itself at the same time as the budget, or if it's rolled into the budget, it's really just kind of a matter of semantics at that point. It is definitely going to be connected to the budget one way or another.
Another argument, and semantics notwithstanding, is whether or not this is going to need a 2/3 vote of the legislature. Now, talk us through this, because I suppose they can just go ahead and do a straight-up vote, and if it passes, then someone could file some sort of suit saying, no, you need 2/3, correct?
Yes, they could, and that's quite possibly what will happen if that's the route they go. And all indications are that the governor's office says that they don't believe that this needs 2/3 majority. The Constitution is a voter-approved constitutional amendment a number of years ago that requires a 2/3 approval in the legislature for anything that raises taxes or revenues, except that it has a giant loophole in it which says you can let a state agency director raise fees as long as you don't tell him how much he needs to raise. You can suggest it to him, but you can't tell. If you put it in there in law specifically how much to raise, then yes, you need 2/3. But if you leave it open, you can. This does not trip the idea that you need a 2/3 majority in order to do anything down at the Capitol involving fees.
And opponents are saying yes when the fees $10,000 here, $70,000 there. No when we're talking hundreds of millions here, hundreds of millions there.
Except that the Constitution doesn't say that. The Constitution just says as long as the amount is not specified, whether it's $1 or $100 million, it doesn't really matter.
And that's going to be quite the tug of war down there for that particular act. Before you go, real quickly, we've talked about this so much when it was higher in the headlines there, this mortgage settlement transfer, transferring money that was some say designed to help folks having problems in the housing industry and the whole bubble and the whole 9 yards. Arizona got money, and yet a lot of that money was transferred, over to the general fund Suit was filed. We had a ruling on that, didn't we?
Yeah, we did, and the ruling was essentially that the state was in the right to go ahead and transfer that money. It was about half of the money. I think it was about $50 million that got transferred into the general fund to kind of help bridge the budget deficit. And the court said that was an acceptable use of that money because the state was harmed in the mortgage crisis, essentially, which was the argument that the Attorney General's office made.
And the other argument was, no, this money it should have been put in some kind of a trust and then doled out to individual homeowners or groups helping individual homeowners because they were the ones targeted for this particular. Judge didn't buy that, huh?
No, but, and some of the money did go into programs like that.
Yes.
And but for this amount of the money, the judge essentially said that the state, it was given to the state, and the state had the authority to decide how best to use it, and this was the way they chose.
Something of a vindication for Attorney General Tom Horne?
Yeah, it was. He was certainly the one, I think, that was taking the most flack over this issue. As well, I think in some ways a vindication for the legislature, which included this in the budget, and the governor as well, where this was a component of the budget and a key component. I mean, they would have had to find $50 million elsewhere had this not been allowed.
Is this the kind of thing that could likely go to the Supreme Court, you think, or is it pretty much ball game here?
I think we'll have to kind of see what the plaintiffs want to do, how far they want to challenge it, and what sort of grounds they feel they have for an appeal.
Back real quickly to the Medicaid fight. I call it a fight. I call it a battle. Will there be a fight? Will there be a battle at the legislature over this, or are we kind of accenting a little bit here?
Well, I think we can all remember back to 2009 when the governor was pushing for a sales tax increase for $1 billion to help balance the budget, and the logjam that ensued when Republican legislators weren't willing to go along with that. If that's the tack that we're going to go down here, I can very easily see us going down that path. If Republican legislators will not go along with the governor, she's got nothing but time on her hands, and she's shown in the past that she is willing to be just as stubborn as they are, and she will wait them out.
And so that whole idea of a 100-day session goes flying out the window.
Yeah, we talked to Senate President Andy Biggs today, and he had been confident that we would be having a budget by the middle of this month, maybe the end of the month. Not so much anymore. A little bit less optimistic about that, and even raising the possibility that we could be here well into the summer.
It'll be interesting to see how both sides present their issues and their particular sides of the issue. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
A group that wants to recall Maricopa County Sheriff Joe Arpaio continues to collect signatures to force the issue to the ballot. But is the recall the right thing to do, and what does it say about the state's recall process? Joining us now is Lori Roberts, columnist for the Arizona Republic. Good to see you again. Thanks for joining us. Wanted to get you on this because you've been writing about not only this particular recall, but just the recall process in general. Let's talk about that. Is this the right thing to do?
Is what the right thing to do?
The attempt to recall a sheriff who was just voted into office.
Well, personal opinion is I was perplexed when they did it. I personally think that you ought to wait till he does something new wrong. I mean, he's done a lot of things that are questionable, but the voters put him back into office. You ought to have, in my opinion, have a reason to want to reconsider your vote as a voter before you do this. But the law says that they're allowed to do this.
And how many signatures have we got so far?
They announced last Wednesday, very interestingly, that they have 120,000 valid signatures. That's their claim. Of course, we won't know that until the end of the process. But interestingly, the day after they announced that, the Arizona House passed a bill making it more difficult to recall elected officials and making it retroactive to January 1st.
Yes, I thought that was interesting.
Not only interesting, but I think it shows that they're very, very worried about this process.
And you mentioned 120,000 collected so far. They need 335?
They need 335, which basically means they've got to collect about 26,000 valid signatures a week, which roughly means they've got to collect about 40,000 valid or signatures total in a week. Now, I think it's all going to come down to money. Will they have the money to buy those signatures? Because these things are done by professional paid petition circulators. Okay,
so with that in mind, from where you 120,000, that's a reasonable amount of signatures far.
They're on target.
And so the chance that not only could they get it onto the ballot, but the chance that the sheriff could be successfully recalled. It's not out of the...
I think if they get it on the ballot, he will be recalled.
Why?
Because recall is different from a regular election. What they will do is put up a Republican with law enforcement experience and presumably a clean background to go head-to-head against Arpaio in a special election, where you can have a Republican against a Republican. All of those, that's going to split the Republican vote and make it a lot easier to get him out. That's essentially what they did with Russell Pierce.
Now, I was going to mention the Russell Pierce recall. Compare and contrast this effort with the Russell Pierce effort.
Well, this is a much bigger effort because that was a legislative district where they needed 20,000 signatures or so. Here you've got to have 335,000 signatures. And they are high-fiving each other right now with the fact that they've got the 120,000, if indeed they really do. But they've got a huge hurdle to get over, and that is the money that it's going to cost to do this. Now, we have no idea where they're getting their money. State law doesn't require them to report until May. If it's like other elections, the unions would pour in money. That's what they did to try to unseat him last time. But Randy Peraz and the recall people are going around sounding pretty desperate for money. So I think it's going to come down to money.
Interesting.
Do you have the money to get those signatures?
You mentioned the effort in the House to make the changes to the recall process, make those changes retroactive to January 1st. Among the changes is to have a primary election in a recall election.
Right, and most people...
Isn't that blatantly unconstitutional?
I think that it is. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, but neither is the guy who has the bill. Representative Smith said in a committee that his read of the Constitution is that the legislature shall call for primary elections. Well, he's reading the general statute or the general section of the Constitution that deals with regular elections. There's a whole other section of the Constitution that deals with recall elections, and it sets up a single special election, and that general election rules apply. It sets it all out. So I don't see how he thinks that he can add to the Constitution without asking our permission first.
I was going to say, I think the quote is, a special election shall be ordered,
right.
Period.
That's right.
So, with that in mind,
they think they can do it.
Well,
if they, the legislature is 31 and 16, and if they can get that.
Does that law go into effect, though? Let's say it passes the legislature. Let's say the governor signs it. Does that law go into effect? What kind of timetable here when we're talking about this particular recall process?
The law would be retroactive to January 1st, but I can guarantee you that it will be in court before the ink is dry.
And that's what I was kind of getting at. I mean, it's as far as the court challenges and as far as it takes a certain amount of time to get things into law, would that be so far out of the barn that the horse would still be there?
No, I think that they would deal with that pretty quickly. You will recall that there was a legal challenge in the Russell Pierce case as well, and it went to the Arizona Supreme Court, which was fairly definitive in their answer, which was you don't tamper with recall statutes. That's our right. The legislature is running around saying, this is a usurpation of the law, and recalls were never meant to be this way. We've had one recall of a state official in 101 years, so it's not like we're running around willy-nilly recalling everybody.
And we should note that lots of folks have been targeted for recall, and nothing ever seems to come of it. I mean, apparently now there's a move for Minority Leader Chad Campbell, trying to recall him, and there are people upset about that. But the fact is, just because you are targeted and just because the sheriff is targeted doesn't mean he's going to get a recall.
No, it doesn't. But the group that is targeting the sheriff is basically the same group that targeted Russell Pierce and was successful. So you have to take that into consideration. They've figured out the strategy. But I still think they've got a huge way to go just because of the money.
Last question. Are there names bubbling up that would take on the sheriff should this thing head to a ballot?
I have not heard any name. The only name I've heard bubbling up, and I think it's wishful thinking on some people's part, is Rick Romley. But I have not talked to him to ask him if that's something he would be interested in.
It always seems like if you're looking for a Republican who doesn't get along with the sheriff, Rick Romley winds up being first on your list.
Yeah, it seems to be the case.
Yeah.
But, I think that's down the road a little bit. If they get a little bit closer and it looks like they're going to make it, you'll see some names coming up.
So watch the money and keep an eye on that, and we'll see how far it goes.
Yep, and keep an eye on the legislature. Let's see if they'll do this unconstitutional act.
Yeah, okay. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Okay.
Arizona gas prices are starting to level off after major increases to start the year. Here to help us make sense of what's happening at the pumps is Michelle Donati of AAA Arizona. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Where are gas prices right now in Arizona?
Gas prices are high, even though they've started to level off. So today's statewide average is $3.74 per gallon. So it's about a penny less than we were paying this time last week. About 31 cents more than we were paying this time last month. But if you look at where we were paying, what we were paying a year ago, it's actually not too far off from what we were paying this time last year.
But isn't it somewhere 60, 70 cents, something like that, since the start of the year? What happened here?
It is. We're, 3.5 months into the new year, and prices have risen 70 cents since January 1st. So we ended 2012 paying around $3 a gallon, some places, Tucson especially, under that $3 mark, and then prices took off after the first of the year.
Do we know why?
Well, the main reason, so last year prices were, as I mentioned, prices were in the same range that we're paying right now this time last year, but for a completely different reason. Last year we had geopolitical tensions, issues in North Africa and the Middle East. That was causing oil prices to spike and ultimately showing up at the pump. This year, nothing to do with geopolitical tension, really not a whole lot to do with oil prices either, but everything to do with refinery issues. So refineries made the switch to start the maintenance period earlier this year, and that maintenance period takes place before we can make the switch to summer blends. So when that maintenance period takes place, if anything's going to go wrong with the refinery, it's typically during that maintenance period. Now, Arizona gets fuel from two different pipelines, one from the west, one from the east. The refineries on the east side had some issues that resulted in refinery shutdown, so we had to get more supply from the west, which already starts at a higher price. Think California gas prices, it's already driving at a higher price. Well, that west, the refinery that we rely on to get supplies from that west line also had some issues. So really forced a pinch in supplies. Ultimately, that's what's been behind the 70-cent surge we've experienced this year.
So it sounds like if crude prices weren't really a factor here, but refinery maintenance was, if crude prices had also been a factor, we could be really high.
We could be much higher than we are now, especially if there was any type of conflict or escalation with conflict in North Africa, the Middle East, or any type of geopolitical tension. The silver lining, though, is that prices have started to level off, and the other thing to consider is that as an automotive expert, AAA does believe that prices will peak earlier this year. So prices traditionally peak late spring, early summer, and we do believe that because refineries did bump up that maintenance period this year, that prices will spike earlier this year. And not only that, but we believe that prices will spike at a price that is lower than what we spiked last year.
Well, that's encouraging news. As far as the state is concerned, where do we rank as far as prices compared to other states?
You know, we're all over the map. So there were weeks back last year where we were one of the lowest paying states in the country. Currently, we're paying a little more than average. So there are about 33 states paying less for fuel than Arizona. And we have quite a wide range. There's quite a bit of disparity with prices, not only in Arizona, but also across the country. In Arizona alone, the low end, Tucson, is around $3.50. The high end, Scottsdale, right now is paying just about $3.90 per gallon.
Why the disparity?
Well, there's a couple of different reasons. So typically Flagstaff is one of the highest paying areas, and it still is, but there are certain times of year when there is a shift, and Scottsdale typically takes that higher price, and it's usually around the time where we do make that switch to summer blends. One of the reasons is that there are certain places in the state that actually do not use the summer blend. So metropolitan Phoenix does, and certain areas across the state, but not others. So that's one reason. And then another reason, especially with prices spiking so quickly here, is that some of the outlying areas, the rural places that are typically higher, can hold on to supply longer than places such as Scottsdale, Phoenix, and the metro regions that burn through supply faster. So when we see those really fast increases, those typically show up in metro Phoenix or metro markets faster than they do in the rural areas.
So bottom line, start of the year high, we're kind of getting a little bit lower now, and we shouldn't see too much of a shock here as summer approaches and as summer hits.
Barring unforeseen circumstances, it's too soon to tell if we've peaked so far for this year. The next 30 days or so should be pretty telling. But again, we do believe that prices will peak sooner this year, and that prices typically remain high during the summer. But we do believe that 2012 was the most expensive year on record for gasoline, and we do not believe that 2013 will take over that record. But again, that's barring unforeseen circumstances.
No, but we'll take it. We'll take it and run with it. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Thursday on Arizona Horizon, here are the pros and cons of the governor's plan to expand Arizona's Medicaid program, and we'll have a discussion on the importance of a healthy arts community. That's at 5:30 on the next Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us, and you have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.